to another episode of the EMS Wizard podcast. I am the gentleman G, Mark Casey, and we have the rest of the crowd with us on this
Lights,
episode. We have
camera,
John and
action. That's what we're looking at. Lights, camera, action, and stuff. I'm sorry. You take too long doing your little intro there, Marcus. So it's a lights, camera, action kind of
just
episode.
excited.
I am. I'm
Why are you
really
so excited?
Well,
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
Getting purdy.
I am.
Yes.
I think I'm excited because we actually talked about movies in this one, like movies that helped movies we like help shape us a little bit, maybe, and maybe we do that, at correlation to folks. I know on our off time when we sit there and talk together, when we all teach together, when we're just hanging out, talking about movies or shows or things like that, constantly comes up between us about, hey, did you watch this movie? This was cool and whatnot. And why not do an episode about it? I think is how we ended up here. So I am super excited about the lights, camera, action part of this episode.
Okay. I can get down with that.
Yeah. Who do you think should talk about movies first?
What is that?
Not John.
Were you raising your hand or were you pointing?
I don't know.
I don't know what he was doing. Oh,
No.
you want to start talking
John.
first?
Shocking. John wants to talk.
Oh, and I feel seen.
John always likes to talk first. What if I talk first tonight?
Oh, that's like the Bizarro world. I love it.
Wait a minute. Do they actually have like satellite up there, or using like a VCR to watch movies? What do they do up in your neck of the woods? Somebody have to roll in like a cord from
Somebody used to have a satellite. Then we had VHS. Then we had some DVDs, and then now we have
stream.
Netflix and Hulu, and yes, we did have. Yes, don't you remember the big satellites you used to put in the yard? We never had one.
I just kind of thought Walter and his family probably made like a little fire, and they put the sheet up, and they did like all these hand designs to talk about.
Shut up, John.
I thought it was like the little tape on the reel that had to pass in front of the light bulb, and
we did. My grandparents did create some pictures like that and put them in a reel that we used to watch at Christmas. I remember as a kid those things with the snow. Okay, all right. Walter's movies. So Walter has two movies. So one of Walter's movies was Air Force One. So I always like Harrison Ford and Air Force One. If it comes on today, I will still watch it just because I don't know why. I just always like that movie. Don't know why I like that movie. Just always like that movie. Shh, Terry, this is my time to talk, not yours.
Which one is Air Force One? How does that one go?
I know
Air
the
Force One.
shoes.
Huh?
The song.
I know
there's a song about Air Force Ones, but
So Air Force One, Harrison Ford, they end up the terrorists or whoever are on the plane, and he ends up getting to the back of the plane, and it's supposed to be a capsule that he can escape the Air Force One plane. Y'all need to go watch Air Force One. Jesus have mercy.
Never seen it.
It's been a while since I've seen it. It's Harrison Ford, right? I mean,
yeah, Harrison Ford. He's the president.
Yeah.
That's Han Solo, right?
Do what?
That's Han Solo.
Shut up. So my other all-time great movie that I liked dealing with EMS was Bringing Out the Dead. And
we're talking.
I actually show students portions of that video today, some video clips. Air Force One came out before Bringing Out the Dead did, so that's when I watched that, and I don't know why, it was just one of those most movies that I really like to watch. But Bringing Out the Dead with I am a Nicolas Cage fan for some reason. I don't know why. I'm a Nicolas Cage
amazing.
Fan. And Bringing Out the Dead, and again, I do get the students to watch certain parts of it, and the two parts that I really get students to watch is the Narcan. So when they're in the club with Narcan, and the other one is when Nicolas Cage comes in half drunk, not feeling well, gets in the back of the ambulance, starts his IV, comes back to the front seat with his oxygen on. So, I try to relate that to students of, be prepared when you come to work, and don't come to work half lit and having to start your own IV and oxygen. And anyway, there's a lot of good parts in that movie, and some people are like,
Important lesson.
that's a hateful movie. I don't like that movie, but I always like Bringing Out the Dead. And again, so my paramedic introduction to when I was teaching paramedic class, my paramedic introduction was a bunch of clips from that and like Rescue 911, and to bring students up to history, because people like Mark, um, I'm not a age person by any means, Baby Mark, the
Baby
gentleman,
Mark.
Baby Mark.
Baby Mark.
But even going back to Emergency and those, I always play those up to kind of show where the history was, and Bringing Out the Dead always is in there as well. So anyway, that's my two movies I like.
Well, a question I got is, so I had not, I knew Air Force One existed, so I don't know if I have a correlation to that at all in EMS, but I do constantly hear Bringing Out the Dead. I may have watched that movie once, probably did not pay attention to it at all. Not a big Nicolas Cage fan, also not a Bringing Out the Dead fan because of this. When I watched it, I think it was being shown at an EMS station. I was watching it. I thought it represented EMS poorly, just in my mind, and I just, but it may be that it portrays it accurately in some places. I just felt like maybe it put something on the map to say, hey, and all those folks that are out there listening are kind of like, wow, John's really whack here because that's a cool movie and that's a cool dude.
No, you're really whack. But anyway,
but the thing is, I just always thought maybe I just need to watch it again or something, because I always thought it just represented Portland.
It does, but I think when you look at the time period that the movie is and the movie is really good. The movie is based upon a book, and the book is even better than the movie. And it's representative of, I think it's the late 80s, maybe the mid 80s in New York City. And when you look at that time period in New York City, that was when the city was burning and when so many things were happening. And so, was that a paramedic in your agency today and those issues today? Then absolutely. But I look at it as a historical drama.
And that's why I bring those things out there and show students today, just like that, Terry, because I tell them, so the first thing that I will say and I tell students is, when I first became a paramedic, we always heard, you would give Narcan. You would never give Narcan. You would never give Narcan, because they gave Narcan in New York City. New York City had heroin. New York City had heroin. They always had, always given Narcan. You had to lock your truck up so they didn't take your Narcan. And then, we were learning in paramedic class and AEMT class about Narcan, and they're like, you're never going to use it. You're never going to use it because we don't have those drugs here. If you give it, you're giving it to somebody who's in cardiac arrest that might have overdosed, or you're giving it to cardiac arrest for some reason. And I can remember the first call that I went on was a guy who had a morphine pump, and he had just had his morphine pump installed. And, he was at home and had OD'd on morphine from a spinal injection pump. And I was like, here we are giving morphine. And then I go back and look at that movie and go, that guy wasn't in a club. He wasn't high on anything, but we still used the morphine. We still used the Narcan. And, to go back and just give some history of that locally, and, probably some people can remember, and the older groups that may be listening can remember the days of going to the station after you hung out all night, and may have started an IV because you didn't feel good, or you went in and slept for the first couple of hours because you didn't feel good. You may have been a volunteer in doing that. So it does represent EMS, and New York EMS especially bad, but there was some good points in there that I try to YouTube to bring out for the students. So I just showed it to an EMT class I was teaching back in the fall, the Narcan scene of it. So
Well, Mark, Terry, did you want to go next and talk about yours? Or you want Mark?
Yeah, I think Terry needs to go next.
You want Terry to go next? Well, I
I want Terry to go next now.
I feel like you might have stole his answer. I don't know. He's a big Nicolas Cage guy. I kind of felt like maybe Bringing Out the Dead was probably on his list.
It's not. The two that I was going to go with, that Walter's answer surprised me when he said Bringing Out the Dead, and it surprises me because I use that Nicolas Cage character sometimes to say you're the supervisor, and this is what you have happen, because it's funny, and sometimes this can be really dry stuff to chat about, hence why I use that Nicolas Cage. So there's two movies. One is my guilty pleasure that Walter, I was just gonna say one, but when Walter said these two movies, and if I'm flipping through channels, or this pops up in a feed for me, I'll sit and I'll watch it. Armageddon for me is one of those movies that I will just sit and watch, and probably until my last iPhone, I had a sound clip from Armageddon as the ringtone for my middle brother, who's a pilot with Southwest. I mean, he's talking about your triglycerides are high and your bad cholesterol is shockingly bad, and so it's a guilty pleasure of mine. There's some things, I think, some lessons in that.
Now, there were two movies that came out that summer with an asteroid hitting it. Is this the one with Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Armageddon. What was the other one? Remember, there was two that came out that year, with destruction by the asteroids. I can't. I remember Armageddon.
Was that like 2000 something, or the one where I don't know, the ice winter or something like that?
What was the one that was? What is the flooding? New York City flooded,
the day after
and
tomorrow,
library, right? Or whatever.
Day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
No,
So
this
Armageddon,
was like,
Day After Tomorrow. Those are my type of movie. Some reason I don't know why they just are.
Oh, with not Chris Tucker, but it's Chris somebody or another. There's a comedian in that other one, but I don't know.
It's your
But
thunder,
no,
not
I
mine.
mean, I think there are some lessons in this. The comedy of the movie of and I think
it's really funny when the world is being destroyed and you got into comedy.
Yeah, it's very funny when the world is about to be destroyed and they're about to. They've brought all the guys in, and where Bruce Willis's character is saying, well, the guys have a few requests, before, and Bear would like to the white horse, White House. And so can't you see EMS people doing so? Hey, we need to send you to this asteroid, and we're going to put you on this experimental rocket, and Noonan has some friends that he'd like to be made citizens, no questions asked, and this dude wants to go. I think it's very, very EMS like, and so the dark humor in that movie, but or when they're in the Russian space station, and he's got the Russian cosmonaut, and he's banging on something in the space shuttle, and he's like, Russian space parts, American space parts, all made in Taiwan. I don't know. Is that not whatever device or whatever ambulance that you're using, whether it's assembled in West Jefferson or Orlando or Houston, it's all the same stuff. So I don't know. That's one. And I like movies that have happy endings, and even though Harry dies in the end, there's this very happy wedding scene. It's just an emotional thing. All right, here's my real favorite movie.
Deep Impact was the other movie I'm thinking of. Deep Impact.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for providing that answer.
No, dang it.
Sponsored
I should
by
pull
Google.
that up. Actually, that would have helped me out a whole lot.
ChatGPT.
By the way, EMS industry.
What your favorite movie is?
I think you summed up EMS industry and what you were describing in that movie. Anyway, aren't we always on some rocket ship that is?
Yeah. And the world is about to end if we don't make this happen. All right. Favorite movie, Star Trek. Wait, should I be saying this stuff? Because this is probably some some password and somebody's gonna steal my identity. Star Trek 2.
Nobody wants their credit score to go down that low, Terry. You're safe.
Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Amazing movie. Yeah.
Now, is that the one with Ewoks in it?
That's the one with Khan Noonien Singh. And you might know him by the name Ricardo Montalban with a rich Corinthian leather.
No.
You don't know?
No.
Do none of y'all know this movie?
No.
This is a movie where Spock dies.
This is the part of the episode where everybody fast forwards through till Mark or me start talking.
Probably.
Well, we're gonna make you talk last. So Mark is next, just so you know.
Spock sacrifices
it's killing
himself.
Your nerves.
He sacrifices himself, saying that the needs of the many are outweighed by the needs of the few or the one. And he talks about, Jim, you have always been my friend. It's a lot of things in that movie. There's a lot to unpack. But I can feel that you're
You said Star Trek, so I got to ask a question. Were you? I did not watch Star Trek. Nothing about Star Trek do I know. So I got to ask: did you watch like the Star Trek series, The Next Generation, and then watch the movies, or were you just strictly a movie watcher?
All the above, and
so you was a Trekkie all the way through.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know why I tell you these things because you'll just make fun of me about it, but I feel like I can be my true self with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what best friends
can do. And I used to read the books.
There's books, like comic books?
No, not comic books. It's like books with words in them, not books with pictures.
Things that you don't do, John Wilson.
Read books?
Yeah.
I have plenty of comic books, thank you.
So the original series, Star Trek The Next Generation, and the book series for both. Never really got into Deep Space Nine. Thought it was weird.
Was that a movie or a series?
It's a series. But I do have all the movies downstairs. My Apple TV. If you want to come over and watch them, we can.
From the West.
Yeah, book me for that one. You can go ahead. You can go ahead and put me down, brother. I will be glad to be there for that one.
I think you're being sarcastic.
Very good.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Nicolas Cage did you right, man.
Yeah.
G Mark. You got to get him off track. G Mark.
Yeah, get us off the Star Trek.
Wow. It's just what's best about what Mark is doing. We can't hear him and his microphone's broken.
Microphone has quit working again.
Because that's the life,
Mark. What have you done? Really?
Wow.
And you really?
Wait a minute. He's trying to tell us his favorite movies were silent movies.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
I read that lips, just so you know.
Silence of the Lambs is Mark's favorite movie.
Wow.
Mark.
Wow.
You're letting me down, Mark. You're letting me down.
Just
guess number 2, guess number 1, whatever you are, you're letting me down.
Just for our tech guy, he handles all the tech stuff here on the podcast. And as you can see,
he just can't.
He's really good at it.
I don't understand what is going on.
Oh!
It's working now.
No,
cut
out
again.
Not cutting out.
Oh, no, you go. Now you're talking. Now
okay.
I hear you.
Jesus, take the wheel. Okay,
that's a song. That's another episode. We're going to talk about movies in this one.
Oh, we're going to do music on another episode. I'm cool with that. So mine is, well, it actually was a movie. I haven't actually watched the movie, but mine's actually a TV series, and that would be the MASH series from the 70s. The number one best TVs ever. Number one best TV series ever made.
You wasn't even born when what they were talking about happened, or B, when the actual series came out happened.
And
I mean, it's just odd to have look back.
I mean, my favorite TV series growing up as a kid was Alf.
Well, you
and
were
Batman.
around when Alf was out, though, right?
That was
I
reruns. It had to have been reruns from
mean,
Mark.
it could have been. I was born in '87.
Alf's last year, I want to say, was like 88, maybe. Alf. Wow. Keep
Yeah,
talking, Mark.
yeah, good stuff. Um, so
Match.
the things from MASH, I always consider, whenever I'm having a discussion with someone about how EMS's culture is kind of unique in how we kind of use things as our coping mechanisms. Some of that crude humor, or some of the things that we probably shouldn't be using as coping mechanisms. That very good examples of that throughout the entire series of MASH. Um, and even beyond that, there's some really good leadership lessons to pick up from old Colonel Potter and Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake from the series of MASH. I mean, while you think about Colonel Potter was the regular army guy, but he also he had his high level of integrity, and he had that very militaristic perspective on things, but he was still able to be jovial, and still had a level of humor, and he still acknowledged the importance of the human nature of things in his judgment. And I think there's a lot to be learned from. I feel like this is probably going to be a whole nother series. Leadership lessons learned from not Nickelback, but the best TV series there ever was, MASH.
Friends.
Star Trek.
Oh.
No, not Star Trek.
First of all, I just want to say that I actually do not think it is a terrible coping mechanism. I found great relief whenever I dressed up as a girl to try to get out of calls.
I figured you were going to be the clinger of the group.
Yeah, and
I saw that.
So,
Do all people from Ohio cross-dress?
does anybody else surprised by Mark and MASH, or did y'all kind of see that?
Yeah.
Really?
I did not see that at all.
It's my favorite TV. Ask my wife. She
Put her
will tell
on.
you. She will tell you. Right. If I'm at home and I'm just like chilling, MASH is on TV. If they ever take MASH off Hulu, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to cancel my subscription. That's the only reason I have a Hulu subscription
Wait
right
a
now.
minute.
It's because of MASH.
You just said her first name. I thought you said that she told you that you could only call her Mrs. Casey. What are you doing calling her first name? That's
When did that happen?
when you and I were teaching together,
Oh, I thought that was the phone call conversation we had a couple days ago,
where you're going through
where she got upset with you.
the metal detector and your body jewelry kept setting it off.
So here's another thing. This right here. That's about how many episodes of MASH I've probably seen. I also have never really watched
Lame.
MASH. Not that I don't appreciate that. I would definitely watch MASH before I will watch Star Trek. I can tell you that, because I think that resonates better. But I just never did watch MASH, and I know a lot of folks that have that feel the same way you just actually said, that are older than me. So it's kind of odd to hear it from baby Mark. Talk about those from MASH.
Mark, are you into any other
Oh,
like that army related stuff as well?
oh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, Hogan's Heroes. That was more of a comedy kind of thing,
Band of Brothers.
oh, yeah.
Band of Brothers. Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. That's another good
Saving
movie.
Private
Another good
Ryan.
I'm just curious. I was just curious.
Pearl Harbor, Ben Affleck, one of the greatest actors of all time, and
Also in Armageddon.
he is, and also, probably the best Super Bowl commercial in the Super Bowl that came out a few weeks ago. So you see that commercial, him and J Lo?
No, I don't even remember.
Commercials.
Who's
Super
she?
Bowl commercial sucked.
Was she in one of our classes?
She was, yeah, she was. Mhm.
Oh,
That's the one the suit is pending on.
oh, okay. All right then.
What, do you have a second one, or are you just going to go with, you're going to break tradition? Everybody didn't kind of pick two. You got a second one, Marky?
I mean, I'll break it up or whatever, but if I had to pick a movie because I don't watch a ton of movies. Like I'll just kind of pick up on some stuff or whatever on whatever's trending on Netflix or whatever.
Did you take your
Uh,
wife out on a movie on your first date?
no, no,
Oh,
no.
I did not either, Mark. Don't feel bad.
There
really?
was a very loud band, and yeah, we had a great
First
time.
date.
Yeah, yeah.
Took Mrs. Sheehy to breakfast on her
That-
first date.
That's another
Yeah.
story. This was not a breakfast time of day.
I cannot remember. We did go to a movie. I went on it for our first date, but we did go on a movie on our first real date. But I can't remember what it
You
was.
told
Bradley Cooper was in it.
you told me because we went past the movie theater and
We
you told
did,
me
yeah,
about
yeah.
it
It was a
when we
Bradley
were
Cooper
coming
movie, is
back
all
from
I remember.
Asheville or something. You were like, there's a movie theater that I took Christine on the first date to.
At a restaurant.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, see?
It's a great restaurant. Right
So
next to
what's
Smoky
that movie,
Mountain.
Marky?
I don't know. I've already
Bradley
forgotten.
Cooper.
We've already talked about
The Hangover?
I don't know how many
Hangover?
different things.
Yeah.
No, the OG Bradley Cooper. I would have to say like any of the Batman movies, like the Dark Knight Rises or even the original one. I guess it's not the original one, but the one with Michael Keaton played Batman.
Yeah.
Because
Now you're-
whenever I was a kid, I was Batman, my younger brother was Robin, and we would go in the yard and play Batman and Robin all the time or whatever. And then growing up, that Batman was always my thing. And I wanted to go out and save the day. I wanted to go out and do everything that I could, dedicate myself to saving others. And I don't know, maybe that had some sort of, you know, subliminal message in the back of my mind, like, hey, you should join the fire department. It also kind of helped that, my dad and grandfather and everything had been on the fire department for years or whatever. So maybe that had something to do with that whole path that kind of got on this career of EMS, maybe.
Do you have a gun?
Do I have a gun? Like a
Yes, sir.
Batman?
No,
Have
no,
a
no. Do you have an
Batmobile?
actual gun, one with real bullets?
Yeah, which one you want?
Okay. That right there automatically disqualifies you from being Batman.
John doesn't believe in guns. He's a Quaker.
No.
I can see that. I can see John being the Quaker with the hat and
actually
everything.
is
Oh, my bad.
it's Mennonite.
All the wives.
But
I think
Batman didn't believe in
I guess he
guns.
ran away too.
Wow.
John, do you have a movie?
No, not really. I like all
Okay.
movies and stuff.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode.
We are out of time,
And cut.
which is a good movie too. Out of time.
We're
was a-
done.
Dude, that's Denzel.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, if my life is ever made into a movie, I would like John Goodman to play me. Or
Ain't he-
Denzel.
Ain't he dead?
John,
Or
is he
John
dead?
Goodman.
Is he
No.
dead?
No.
Is he still alive?
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Denzel also alive.
Denzel can't play you.
Just not with us.
Denzel's
Why?
cool.
Yeah. Denzel probably watched Star Trek.
I
Yeah.
doubt it.
I watched so many movies impacted me so much coming through that I because I applied them to culture so much that I could actually. I'm surprised that you guys are bringing up stuff, and I'm sitting there saying, "Dang, I never seen that." Now it makes me want to go watch them so I can do that, because there's a lot of different movies I like. But if you go down to what helped me understand there's some weird stuff that I get from movies. This one's weird. This one's one of my all-time favorites. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner before Yellowstone.
I thought you were gonna say Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks deal, but
Also anything with Mel Brooks is one of my is a favorite of mine. But the reason for Robin Hood is something resonated me. I think that movie came out. I was 18 years old, 17 years old, and just that's when that Bryan Adams song "Everything I Do It for You" come out, and big on a lot of play on MTV, and it's a good video, represents the movie well, and just the feeling of what he would do for love, that kind of thing, for the love of his country, for the love of his family, for the love made was it Marion? I think of Marion. I don't know. But I always thought that was I don't think the movie did super great blockbuster wise, but it's always been one of those, and it impacted me to remember, chivalry, I guess, and fight for what you think is right, even if you're on the wrong side of the law, and stand up for that, be that kind of person. So that's been a big thing for me. And I've always liked Kevin Costner, even before he was cool in Yellowstone. He did a lot of great movies. That JFK movie he did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Tatanka.
a lot of stuff Kevin did that I thought was really good. And I mean, The Postman and Waterworld were actually good, but
Weird.
people, weird, but they were good movie. He acted well in those.
Yeah, I like The
Dances with
Postman.
Wolves, is another one.
I don't know if Kevin Costner acts or that's just who he is. Kind of like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds doesn't act. It's just who he. I liked I liked Robin Hood the 2010 remake with Russell Crowe.
I watched that one too. I thought it was good, and if you've never seen a Robin Hood movie, that's the standard of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be a trilogy, but it did so poor at the box office. I don't think they ever made a number, the second or third
No,
one
they
with it.
did not.
But so to me,
Hmm.
the standard of that is Robin Hood. But my all-time favorite, if you ask anybody that knows me well, will tell you that my life lesson movie is The Legend of Bagger Vance, which is Will Smith, and it's and Matt Damon. Great movie. Have y'all ever seen that by
That
chance?
the short guy that grows backwards or
What?
something.
No,
What is
No, that's
that?
Benjamin Buttons.
no.
Oh,
The unmistakable
oh.
case of
Somebody else.
Yeah,
Benjamin
that's what
Buttons.
Now's the time to pull up Chat GPT
or Google.
or Google, either one to help you.
Doctor Google it.
But no, it's a movie that if you watch it without paying attention, you swear it's a movie about golf, but it's not about golf, it's about life.
Never seen it.
And really, really good movie. Whenever I get into a place to where I'm trying to get perspective on why the things are the way they are, I think of several different things that come from that movie, some powerful lines that mean stuff to me. One of them to where he's trying to tell Matt Damon, who plays a character named Juna in there, and of course Will Smith is Bagger Vance.
So I see why you can relate to this movie so well because I sit here, I'm just reading like the Wikipedia of The Legend of Bagger Vance. The first little sentence of the plot: as a senior, having had his sixth heart attack while playing golf. I see how you can relate now, John.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure, your microphone. At any rate, he tells him, the Juna you gonna be, you're never gonna be again. And it's fact that Juna keeps trying to get back to where he was because he had lost. He was a great golf player. Went to fight World War One. All of his friends and stuff that was with him got killed in that war. He came back home. Should have been a hero. Felt like he wasn't. Lost himself. Lost his girl. And he was really struggling with those things. And I feel like that emulates a lot of EMS as we go through these transitions of where we were and then get to what we are in EMS. And we see these things in EMS that other people don't see. And we come home and we don't really have them to share anybody with because they'll be like, that's a made up world you're saying, or I can't believe people live like that. And we're living this thing. And I just always go back to the who I was, I'm never going to be again. I got to look through a different lens. As a matter of fact, that's where this whole lens stuff comes from is how you have to view the world through a different shade sometimes. And sometimes on the clearest day you can see a storm is brewing. And there's a lot that comes out of that movie from that. And that to me has been a very impactful movie as far as that goes. And it's like I said, not a well-known movie, but one of those that just kind of sticks with me and has guided me a lot in how I view things. And then there's hundreds more movies that I know have impacted us that we've talked about on the side. Friday, Jackie Brown, just had Terry watch Jackie Brown a few weeks ago, and I think he finally. But any Quentin Tarantino movie, man, is worth its weight in gold.
Yes. I agree to that.
I don't like the gore.
You don't like Kill Bill?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
But
I think there is nobody has mentioned the best movie of all time. Nobody,
Smoking the
and I'm
Bandit?
kind of no,
The
no,
Hunt for Red October.
no. I'm kind of disappointed because it is my number one
Why didn't you
movie
say anything
of
about it
all
then when you
time.
had a chance?
I was wanting to see what the old guys were going to say first, but Tombstone,
I didn't hear
Yeah.
about Tombstone.
the best movie
The
of all
most quoted
time.
movie.
I take
Yeah.
offense to being the
Yes.
old guy. I take
Yeah.
offense to being the old guy.
I didn't say that necessarily included you, but
I was
mean,
14
Well, you
when that
said the
movie
old
was in
guys.
theaters.
Walter was actually at the OK Corral when it went down. So that's why it's personal to him. He actually got to see Doc Holliday. When he says I'm your
Was it his
Huckleberry,
dentist?
it was Huckleberry Walter that was there. And
John's older than I am, just so you know.
he was the one playing the piano over there with Kate.
No, he wasn't allowed. He wasn't allowed. He wasn't allowed inside those places.
Couldn't go to the saloon.
He couldn't go there. Well, that is, I'll tell you, if there's something we missed, I'll tell you, if there's a movie out there that you as listeners have been impactful to you, we'd really like to know about it. So if you watch us on the YouTube channel, you can actually comment there. Comment on the movies we missed, on how they impacted you, because we may come back and run this back again with so many other things and talk about some of those movies. And if it's a story that resonated, it changed your life in some way, we would like to hear about that. And you can send us an email. You can, the best way is just to go right here in the comments on the YouTube channel and put them in there. And then we can probably come back and have another discussion about other people's, because I'm sure we literally come on here and nobody knows what we're going to say.
We're probably going to get a bill in the mail for royalties.
There's no normal life, Wyatt. It's just
There's
life.
just life.
Get on with it.
Yes. Well,
Wait, hold on. So I know you're about to end. What's Keith's favorite movie?
the one I'll tell you that me and Keith watched when we were
Role
young,
reversal here. This is role
are very,
reversal.
I can remember
Hey,
the
Keith.
one that impacted
He's
us
lying
the
again.
most was Boys in the Hood. We watched Boys in the Hood together, and we at that time, me and him listened to rap music, the deep cut rap music. I'm talking about Slick Rick, original NWA before there was a Dre and a Snoop.
Biggie Smalls.
No, this is way before that. This is the
Oh, yeah?
mid 80s, before Marky was
Oh.
born.
As
and-
Terry's got his hands like this, peeking out of his hands.
Yeah. So our big, I remember that was our big movie, and we were big Ice Cube fans from that. So we were naturally
Ice Cube.
Yep. Ice Cube was an original member of NWA, and then became an actor. I mean, he was a really good artist too. We'll do a music episode one day, and I'm sure I'll talk about him just because he's one of my big influences. But I think if you had to ask Keith, I don't know what his favorite movie is, but I would say that Boys in the Hood's one of those that I can remember. One of our most quoted ones, impactful movies. Friday is another one.
Thought a real friend.
Next Friday.
A real
Right,
friend
yeah.
would have known.
Well, really, Friday. The other ones are never as good as Friday because Chris Tucker isn't in them, So if you don't got Smokey in there, I mean,
That's true.
the Epps guy does really well.
Okay.
But Smokey made it, man.
Hey, Miss Carter.
Miss Parker, Miss Parker. Anyway, any. Why do you brush your hair? The one hair you have, you
It's
brush
the
brush
movie
it.
episode. I want to make sure I look good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna take more than a brush.
Words hurt. Words are weapons.
That's your
They are.
best friend. It's your
Well,
best friend
maybe-
right there.
It's
Living.
possible, Terry, that
My real best friend doesn't say
you
things
can't
like
handle
that.
the truth. It's possible.
It's possible I'm Batman.
It's possible you're not. Yeah. Thank you for being my friend. Golden Girls.
Who's Dale Chandler?
What? Dale Chandler?
Who's Dale Chandler?
Dale Chandler? It's the first time I've seen
I think-
Keith actually make it on something with EMS Wizard.
I think it's actually
Yeah.
through the